John Lynch is going to talk. He didn't talk today. I was hoping he might. He was here, but he's going to talk. He's going to do his annual pre-draft press conference where he says exactly who the Niners are going to take, right? Like, those press conferences are so silly. But no, he has a lot to talk about, not involving the draft. And he's going to have to sit there and answer those questions. He's very diplomatic. He doesn't actually answer questions, but he says, "That's a good question, Larry." And then he gives you a whole filibuster. What questions does he need to answer at this pre-draft press conference, just in terms of the offseason, the team in general?
I think the big one is, can you pivot from Jimmy and Trey to Trey and Jimmy seamlessly, or is that problematic in any way, shape, or form? Because that's what the idea that you were throwing out, that maybe they would bring Jimmy back, or that means the whole pecking order goes from Jimmy to Trey to Jimmy, and then all of a sudden, is that problematic? Everybody knows the investment in Trey, but they also know that last time you guys suited up with a chance to go to the Super Bowl, you started the other guy. So, do you lose your job in an off season? I mean, where you didn't play any games? I don't know. So to me, that's the big one. Is it viable to bring back, could you have come back behind a first round draft choice safety and been the number 2 safety in the locker room and not lost face? Does Jimmy automatically lose face and lose his leadership mantra with the team if he's now the number 2 guy? How's that play out? Is there you guys have made it sound like it's viable. Is it actually viable? I think that's the question I'd want to hear him answer.
That's a good one. How about, why haven't you named Trey Lance the starting quarterback yet? And how can he lead this team until you do that?
Absolutely.
I mean, they're whispering like he's ready. How can he be the team leader until they say you're the starter? It seems like these wide receivers are like, who should we go hang out with this offseason, Jimmy or Trey? What is Jimmy doing, by the way? What does Jimmy do in the offseason? Does anyone know?
That's a great question.
Anyone know?
I mean, I'll say this: the guy doesn't come to camp out of shape, so obviously he's pretty conscientious about his workouts. But where does he spend it? Is he in the Midwest? Is he in LA? Is he at the facility hiding out?
I don't know. Idea. So, okay, he's going to have to answer questions about the quarterback situation. He's going to have to answer questions about Debo, assuming he's still on the team.
Yeah, I mean, how far apart are you guys? Is there a scenario where Debo Samuel
is not on
your best offensive player gets traded on draft day? That right there is a doozy, because you know what? He's got to, if they're even considering it on any level, there's no dodging. Is there any way he gets traded on draft day? Because that to me will be revealing. Because if he comes back and says, nope, there's no way he gets traded on draft day, we put that whole angle and whole story to bed. It's goodbye. It's like it didn't even exist.
Jed almost did, right? Jed retweeted that meme of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, and it was like the Debo Samuel trade rumors. Okay, well, Jed retweeted that. Well, does that still stand? What's going on? Because it seems like Peter King is saying they could trade him, and Matt Mayoko saying don't be surprised anyone's available. What's the deal, John? Can we get so that's 3 things. If you ask about Javon, how about Mike McGlinchey? He needs to answer for Mike McGlinchey. What's the deal with Mike McGlinchey? And if he says, oh man, he's attacking his rehab, I don't want to hear that he's attacking his rehab. Where is he in the rehab? No, how do you answer it so he can't?
Is he on schedule for week 1?
Week 1, and he'll say, "Well, we don't know, Larry, but we hope so." And he's really, if he can't start week 1, what's the plan? Well, we have a lot of guys we like, and this is draft. We have a lot of draft picks. Yeah, okay, McGlinchey's another one.
I would say to him, how many picks do you feel like you need? What's the maximum number of draft picks that you feel and your staff feel can make your 53? How many guys and how many picks do you at the end of this draft do you want? How many potential openings are there on this 53 as you're staring at it today on your wall in your office?
How many starters do you need from this draft class?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Last year you guys barely made the playoffs, and there was this whole Brandon Ayuk's not doing things, and the optics and all. Who knows what the issue was? Did you learn anything from that? Is that a situation that could repeat itself because you guys almost cost yourself the playoffs sending him a message?
You also last year you repeatedly said you had a championship roster, which is why you were starting all veterans, and that you were having 2019 vibes. I must have heard that phrase 50 times last year. 2019 vibes, championship roster. Haven't heard anything like that this year. Do you still feel you have a championship roster? What are the expectations for this team?
Yeah. How many times do we hear the term "run it back"?
Run it back.
Run
Run
it
it
back.
back. Well, you don't hear that anymore.
No.
No.
Well, how about this?
Why
Here's
was
the one.
special teams such an important thing for. Why did you focus 95% of your free agency on special teams?
Here's my question. You lost the anchor of your run defense and the guy who shuts off the A gaps and DJ Jones. You replaced him with Hassan Ridgeway, who's known to have some injuries, and he's really more of an interior rusher who rushes as part of a rotation. Who's now the anchor of your run defense? Is it have to be Javon Kinlaw? And if Kinlaw can't be healthy, and because we haven't seen him consistently healthy, who is the anchor of your run defense on your defensive line now that you don't have DJ Jones?
I love that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, it shouldn't be like, who are you looking at 61?
No, yeah.
Although,
those questions. I mean, that's an exercise in futility. I'll tell you one more. Do you think that Jaquiski Tart is a good football player who was framed for, not framed, but he was, a lot of people blamed him for the loss because of the dropped INT. You played that position. You see the skill set of Tart. He's out there. Is Tart viable to bring back, or what are you looking for specific? To me, this is a real good question. What kind of safety are you looking for in this draft? We know you're looking for a safety. Are you looking for a free safety who can cover the deep middle and allow Jimmy to play in the box and be your new Tart? Or are you looking for Tart's replacement and Jimmy is still going to be another year at free safety covering the deep third? That to me is a major question because I think it could go either way.
The most iconic quote ever delivered at a pre-draft press conference that I was covering, 2012, Trent Baalke. The 31st pick, someone asked him, Trent, do you know who you're going to take? And he said, why, yes, I do. In fact, I've written his name inside an envelope.
Oh, I know it is. I know.
AJ Jenkins.
It was AJ Jenkins. So I'm interviewing him that night, Grant, in the on KMBR in the war room or conference room across from their war room. And he starts telling this long, drawn-out story, how he wrote this name down and all the specialness. You would have thought he was talking about Jerry Rice.
Yes.
He's AJ Jenkins. I wrote it on a piece of paper. All this crap. And so then I turned to Harbaugh, and I asked him the softest of softball questions because Harbaugh is looking like almost like he was confused. So I look over at Jim. And I say, Jim, what do you like about AJ Jenkins? I mean, you can say anything. And he's like, well, we really think that, really solid.
That's a good question for Trent.
He just stammered and said nothing. And I remember leaving that going, either AJ Jenkins is going to be really, really good and these guys are sharp as hell, or they just drafted a bust. And we all know how it shook out.
It's important not to tell people that you've written the player's name in an envelope because what you're telling is that the guy's going to be available. So you're reaching. He's going to be available. You value him higher than everyone else, and you're not even allowing for the opportunity of someone dropping to you. Yeah, how could you know who you're going to take? You don't know who's going to be available. What if someone really good fell? Doesn't matter. We want AJ Jenkins.
Nice, Trent. Vontae Mack, no matter what. Laugh it up, Trent.
El Jefe says, Grant, we need to talk. I want another interview with a player. I'm working on it. I am working on it. Don't worry. See, Turley
you just had one right before the show. A little back and forth with Ayuk.
Yeah, I wonder if
your Jimmy Ward was very strong. You gonna maybe get Jimmy back?
I actually just emailed his agent today. So Dave Butts, let me know what's up. Maybe I'll have to go directly to Jimmy. Question I'd ask JL is, why didn't you take the Amazon job because you suck at running a team? You'd really ask him that to his face? That's quite rude.
I don't think you can say that Lynch sucks at running a team. That's hyper negative. This
I
guy's
don't
been
think
to
so.
2 NFC championship games, and he tried to work with his head coach. You got to blame Shanahan for Joe Williams. You got to blame Shanahan for Dante Pettis. You got to blame Shanahan for a lot of those skill position swings and misses, and there's more than a couple.
The one area where I would fault John and Kyle is as good of a team as they've put together. It's a very good team. They're on year 6 and they're still figuring out the quarterback position. That can't happen. And that's a big deal. So while they're very good in a lot of things, they're just not quite good enough. And if Trey Lance is a big bust, everyone's going to look at Kyle and John as like, you guys can't evaluate the quarterback position. Wow. I guess you have a big limitation. So
You passed on Mahomes. You passed on Watson because you had what? Brian Hoyer sitting there?
Yep, absolutely. Do you see the New York Giants trading 36 for Jimmy? I thought you were going to say Debo. Hell no. 36 for Jimmy? No.
That's that one's an interesting one though, because I don't know where the New York are the Giants set with Daniel Jones. I mean,
no.
I will say this: there will be trading at the end of the first round. Somebody is going to trade second and third round assets to get in front of Detroit at the end of the first round and take a quarterback. I don't know who it's going to be.
I see. All right. If we keep Jimmy and get a comp pick, Lynch has to go. Someone has to go if they spend $27 million on a third round comp pick. And I think they're going to do that. My dad thinks no one's that crazy. Do you think they could be that crazy to hold on to him just for a comp pick? It sounds crazy.
I don't think that's possible. I don't.
Good. I like it. Are we reaching a point soon where we talk about replacing John Lynch? I don't think so. But again, we'll have to see how things play out with Debo and Jimmy and where the teams goes.
I don't, it's funny. I think the fans are open-minded. I think it's Jed and Parag and Dr. John that would think about, moving on from Lynch for a Peters or somebody else if they don't show some progress. I'm not even 100% convinced that Lynch would have been back this next year if the Niners had fallen short of the playoffs.
Good point.
Or if somebody had come, if the Giants had said, we want Adam Peters, they may have said, we want Adam Peters to stay.
They might have said, hey, Lynch, hey, John, take that job with Amazon. You might want to take that job with Amazon because you don't have a job here anymore.